Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 2012 Spring Cleaning Get Organized Challenge. My name is Tiffany Spalding and I will be guiding you through the 8 sessions of this organization challenge. I've been teaching scrapbooking organization for about 10 years now. We've been doing online classes for a little over a year. So thanks so much for finding us and joining us. For those of you who've never participated in a webinar before, you'll hear my voice and see the screen on my computer, but you can't actually see me. So don't be worried that you can't see me. You'll just see the screens change. This whole session is recorded, and it'll be posted on our website. So if you want to rewatch it later or you have questions and want to go back, you'll be able to access it easily from our website. And I'll get a link about where to access it, and I'll show you at the very end of the webinar series as well. So I know some of you have joined us before, but many of you are new. So just quickly, I will go through the whole presentation, and then I will answer questions at the end. You do have a little question mark icon on your control panel. So if you think of something as we're going along and you want to ask that question, you can go ahead and type it. You can go ahead and type the question in, and then I will answer them at the end. I may answer them as we go through the process, though. So also, for those of you who are on board from foreign countries, we love to know where you're from. So if you can just type in the question pane where you're from, and I'll read those out again at the very end. But it's always kind of fun for us to see where people are from. Last session we had someone from Dubai and someone from Japan that were regular joiners. So it looks like people are still jumping on, so I'm just going to, for a few minutes, talk a little bit. Like I said, this session is recorded, and you'll be able to watch it on the website later. You can ask questions just by typing them in on the panel. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, even though I have a lot of people still kind of jumping on here at the last minute. Challenge number 1, get ready to get organized. So this challenge just is the sort of the foundation for being organized and staying organized. And so I just want to talk a little bit, or through this, through this session. I have a little mouse problem here. Through this session, what's really important is setting yourself up for success. And so when we talk about setting ourselves up for success with organization, it's no different than other things in our lives that we try to set ourselves up with success for. So we're going to talk about setting goals for getting organized, writing those goals down, how important that is. So you're going to set the goal, you're going to write it down, then you're going to hang it up. You're going to shout it from the mountaintops. If you can recruit a friend to get organized with you, it's really helpful because many of us operate so much better when there's a little bit of pressure on us or even a little bit of competition. So if you can recruit a friend, that's going to be great. Tell anyone who will listen what you're doing. Tell your mother or your best friend or anybody who will ask you about it as you go through the challenge. Because again, when somebody else takes an interest and we feel like we have to be able to answer to someone other than ourselves, it makes it a lot easier to sort of stay the course. Get the buy-in from anyone who might interrupt your progress. So many of us have children at home or other sort of commitments and people that take up our time. And a lot of times we get distracted because those people haven't bought into what we are trying to accomplish. So I'll talk a little bit as we go through this about how to get the buy-in from family members or people who might distract you. Finally, you need to define your big benefit. And that's really what we're going to start with here. In order to accomplish anything, there has to be some benefit at the end. And I know in this process, many of you are thinking, oh my gosh, there's going to be so many benefits, you know, being able to find my stuff or whatever. But part of this process, today's process, is defining your big benefit. The one thing that you can really attach yourself to that'll keep you focused and motivated. So here's a couple of examples of big benefits. When I've completed this challenge, I will be able to use both my crafting time and materials joyfully and without frustration. One of the things when you're deciding what your big benefit is to think about what frustrates you or overwhelms you or what you've been missing because you haven't been able to craft or whatever it is. And these are just examples from different people who've taken the challenge before. You see the one almost from the bottom. My husband will be able to eat his dinner at the dining room table. We had one lady who posted her big benefit was that her husband would be able to get into bed without having to move her scrapbooking stuff first. So whatever that big benefit is, but it needs to be something that's real, that really feels good to you, so that when you start to get frustrated or overwhelmed or worn down with the process, you have this big benefit that you can go back to and say, you know what, I really need to stay focused because this big thing is going to be my reward. Now, in order to stay on task with the big benefit, one of your challenges this week is to make a big benefits board. And I did mine as a 12 by 12 layout so that I could scrapbook it later when I was all done with it. So this is just a picture of what my big benefits board looked like. You can see there are 8 challenge rewards below. And each challenge reward has a little blank box next to it. And that's so I could check off that reward when I had accomplished it. So it just depends on who you are and how you motivate yourself. I'm one of those people who loves lists. I love to cross things off or check things off. So I left those little blank check boxes so that when I had accomplished those things, I could check them off. Now, I clearly spelled out what each one of my rewards was, and that's a really important piece. The rewards have to mean something to you, and they have to be motivating to you. It has to be something that really or you're going to find that's going to keep you on track. So make sure you put some serious thought into those rewards, because as you reap the benefits of them, you want them to keep you motivated to continue going on. So here's some more with a little close-up of my big benefits board here. So my big benefit was I'll be able to find my stuff. There's nothing more frustrating for me than not being able to find the things that I know that I have. So finding my stuff was my big benefit. And then as you see, challenge number 1 on my little grid there is take London out for coffee. Challenge number 2 is have a ping pong and pizza night with Max. Those are my buy-ins, right? I have 2 sons, London and Max, and it seems like whenever I'm doing something for myself is the time that they need me most, right? Or they distract me, or they don't think it's as important as whatever they need me to do. So I put a couple of things on my rewards that would get them to buy in. So London loves to go out for coffee and play cribbage. So now that when I'm working on the challenge, when London's distracting me or when Max is distracting me, I can say, hey, as soon as I get this done, you get a coffee and cribbage evening or morning or whatever. So go hang out with your brother and, stay out of my hair. And the same thing with Max. He loves to play ping pong and pizza, and so that was a great trade-off for him as well. But I could really motivate them to entertain themselves while I was working on the things I needed to get done, because the reward was for me, but also for them in this case. So choose your rewards carefully, and remember, I had to pause for coffee there. Remember that you need to include other people to help keep you motivated and focused. Next thing you're going to do after you do your big benefits board is you're going to lay the groundwork for your organization system. And laying the groundwork means that at the end of this webinar, you should understand how the 4-section system works and how to apply it to your room or space. And we're going to get really into the 4-section system and clarify that. You should know what it means to gather all of your supplies. I use the word gather in every webinar. You're going to be so tired of it by the end of this series. Understand how to write a themes index and what it's going to do for you. Understand what it means to purge and have some good guidelines for purging. I know when I say purge, some people get a stomachache automatically, but don't worry, we're going to help you with some solutions that will really make it a lot easier for you to get rid of the stuff that you're not going to use. And then finally, understand the importance of storage tools and space. So, we buy, or most of us have bought many, many storage tools. And tools aren't really the problem with being organized. It's more the system. So we're going to talk a little bit about storage tools, and we're going to talk about having a space that's just for your organized only supplies. So let's get started with step 1, which is the 4-section system. The 4-section system is pretty simple. It's going to be a guidepost for where to put things away. It's a map or a plan that you can always follow. Now, what happens to our brains is when we start organizing something, if it isn't simple, if it isn't lineal, so our brains can easily follow along, we micromanage, we come up with too many different schemes. You need to really stay on something that's really simple and easy. And the 4-section system is really easy for everybody. So the first section is alphabets and numbers. It's everything that alphanumeric, punctuation, but not theme specific is going to go in that first section. Your second section is going to be your themes, A to Z. These are all the things that you scrapbook about organized alphabetically, and we'll talk specifically about how to create that themes list a little bit later. Section number 3 is the calendar year, so this is all of your holiday and seasonal materials grouped together. And then section 4 is the rainbow, and I'll be honest with you right up front, the rainbow is the hardest section for people to really get their brains around. Not that it's difficult to understand colors, but we've been trained by every magazine and everything we read and everything we see to containerize. And I want you to think, instead of containerizing, you're going to combine and conquer. And that's where the rainbow gets a little bit hairy for some people. So we'll talk more about that as well. Now I want you to really take this bottom line to heart. There is no miscellaneous. There's no miscellaneous section, like the section 5 miscellaneous. There's no M for miscellaneous in themes. There is, if something's organized, there is no miscellaneous. You're not allowed to have that. I have very few hard and fast rules in this group, but my one is that there is no miscellaneous. So, now I just kind of glossed over this 4-section system. I'm going to go back for a minute. So the 4-section system, there's an article on our website that has pictures and goes into detail. So I don't really need to get into that in particular. It's going to be part of your homework assignment, part of your challenge assignment, to go to the website and read that article and really understand how the 4-section system works. So if you feel like I'm not really giving you enough information about it, you can ask questions. Go ahead and type them in and we'll answer them at the end. But know that your homework assignment is going to be to read an article, it's not a long article, and really understand the 4-section system. Your second step is going to be to write a themes index. And the themes index is how you're going to sort and store everything in that second section, themes A to Z. So it's going to guide you through so much of the organization process. And it's an alphabetized list of all the things that you scrap about or all the things that you think that you scrap about. So I can make a couple recommendations for creating your themes list. First of all, you want to do it on the computer if you can, because you want to put it in alphabetical order. So if you can do it in an Excel spreadsheet or something, or you can alphabetize, so every time you add something to the bottom, you can re-alphabetize it so it stays in order, that's great. When you print it out, you're going to want to print it out with some space between it, between each of the items in the themes list, because as you go through and start sorting and organizing, you're going to find that you do scrapbook about things that you weren't on the list, and that you don't scrapbook about some things that are on the list, and you're also going to combine some of the categories. One of the really important things about that combine and conquer philosophy is that you want to keep things together you would use together, and you're going to hear me say that over and over again as we go through this series, and it's really kind of the question that you're going to ask yourself as you're trying to decide where to put things. Am I keeping this with other things that I would use it with? We'll get really specific as we go through each of the sessions in the challenge. So I've just put up here a little example of a themes list, and this is actually posted on our Facebook group, so you can get it there. Also, all the PDFs for the challenge series will be available on the website as well. So if you want the PDFs or you want to keep them on your computer so you can refer back to them on your own time, you're welcome to do that as well. There's just going to be a link on the page where you'll find the information. So this themes list is pretty generic. It has all kinds of things in it. Now, what's important to notice is that what's important to keep in mind is that you want to keep things together you would use together. So let's use sports as an example, because that's a really typical one, right? So if your family or if you only scrap about one particular sport, let's say football, that's the only sport that your family is interested in, the only sport your kids play, the only sport you watch, or the only thing you attend, or whatever. So then you would probably just have a football section. But if your family is into football and soccer and baseball and tennis, whatever, then you're probably going to want to combine all of those things under a section that's called sports. Now, the reason we do that is because we want to keep things together we would use together. There it is already popping up. So if you put tennis under T and football under F and, soccer under S, then things that might be able to work together, like grass and cleats and whistles and banners that say go team and pom-pom and really generic sports things, are going to be spread out all over your theme section. Well, you might be able to use those pom-poms in football, you might be able to use them in baseball or basketball, but you'll never see them if they're tucked into soccer. So as you're going through and sorting and making your themes list, you might start out with a big list like this, where everything's separate, and then you go through it again and decide what you can combine. So in this case, we're going to combine sports. So golf and swimming and tennis and all those things are going to be under sports as a subheading. Some people have an animal section. Some people have a pet section. Some people have a zoo section. Some people put pets and zoo all under animals. So once you start seeing what you've got to scrap about and you're making your piles, you're going to be able to reorganize these things, but think you want to keep things together you would use together. So if it has multiple uses, you need to put it in a bigger, broader category rather than putting it into sort of a micro category. Okay, so your next step in the process is to gather together the items that are floating around your work area. It might be piles of leftover from your last project, shopping bags from the last convention you attended, things hidden under the couch, under the chair, in the closet, in the guest room, wherever they are, tucked away in crop totes. Try and bring everything that you can together into one room or space. So as you start the actual organizing process, it's all together and ready to go. And this is really an important step, really, to just kind of get everything in one place. It just makes it easier to kind of power through once you start going. Okay, prepare to purge. Purging is really, really tough for a lot of us, but there are so many benefits to purging the things that you're not going to use. So one of the things that people really struggle with purging is, so I should say women struggle with purging, is that a lot of things we bought were attached to emotionally. We bought it for a specific reason. Now that scrapbook page or that event or whatever it was that we bought may have never come to fruition, and so we're not going to use that item anymore, right? So getting rid of it is hard for us because we're emotionally attached to it. So one of the keys with purging is being able to give things away or get rid of things that we can pass on that emotional attachment. So it's really important when you are purging things to decide before you start purging where those things are going to go. Are they going to go to your favorite charity, to your kids' school, to the nursing home, to the Sunday school at your church? Wherever they're going to go, you want to find that place first. Now, that's for the emotional attachment of it. Now, some of us are attached to the money part of it, that we spent that money. We don't want to waste that money, right? Well, let me tell you, if you have something you've been moving around your scrapbook supplies for 10 years, you've already wasted the money. The money is gone, okay? Now you're wasting your time, your energy, your space, your creativity, causing yourself frustration because you have to dig through or pass that thing or look at it or move it around or restore it or recontainer it or whatever every time you come across it. So now it's causing all this other waste, right? So try to think of it like that, like you're letting this, it's like going to a movie. If you go to a movie that's bad and you pay $10 to get into the movie, and 20 or 30 minutes into the movie you think this is horrible, but you sit through the whole 2.5 hours because you spent $10, well, now you've wasted your money and you've wasted your time. You don't want to do that. You've already wasted the $10. Get up and walk out of the movie theater. Throw that horrible embellishment that you're never going to use into the purge box. Someone else will love it. Now, you can also, when you donate your purge, you can get a tax deduction, so that helps with the money thing. For those of you who are motivated for eBay or Craigslist or whatever, you can bag up your purge and sell it by the pound. There are other people out there who would love to pay for the stuff that you don't want anymore, especially if they feel like they're getting a good deal. Here's one of my hard, fast rules, though, gang. Once something goes into your purge box, it doesn't come out. So set some goals for yourself as a purger. Are you going to purge by the inch? Are you going to purge by the pound? Are you going to purge a certain things that are certain years old or certain themes or whatever? But write everything down. I know some of you have already heard my mantra for the year is until you put your goals to paper, they are intentions that are seeds without soil. So I'm a big proponent of writing a goal down and hanging it up, and even more of a proponent of telling other people what your goals are. And that holds you accountable, and it also, other people then are going to bring it up and ask you, which is more motivating to you to get things done as well. All right. So step 5, storage tools and space, and understanding the importance of these things. Really important, or the most important aspect, is visibility and accessibility. So no matter what tools you're using to store your supplies, your stuff needs to be visible and it needs to be accessible. So if it's a pain in the neck to get to something, then you're just going to run up to Michael's and get more of it instead of digging and searching for it. So you need to be able to see what you've got, and you need to be able to get to what you've got. Now, as all of you know, this webinar is sponsored by the Scrap Rack, and so you don't have to have a Scrap Rack for the 4-section system to work, and you don't have to have a Scrap Rack for the webinar series to really help you get your supplies organized. So if you don't have one, don't worry about it. But you do need to have tools that are visible and accessible. Now, I'm going to talk about the very end of after I give the challenge. For those of you who want to know more about the Scrap Rack, I'm going to go through quickly what the Scrap Rack is and what the components are. So if it's something you're interested in, we're going to spend a few minutes at the very end talking about that, and you can just stay on the line and see that. So you need to put some thought into your space. How will you store things so they are the most visible and accessible? And this could mean removing cupboard doors or adding shelves. And so if you've had a chance to go on our website, and you can click on that little picture of a desk in a scrapbook room on the right side of the website. I'll point it out in one of the other screens. So that's my scrapbook room. And if you click on that, you'll see all the steps we took to put that room together, how we made it a little bit smaller, took the doors off the cabinets, and a bunch of other little tips and tricks for making things visible and accessible when you're talking about setting up a room or space. So then you need to decide what kind of tools are you going to use. Are you going to use a scrap rack, binders, file folders, large Ziploc type bags? There's a huge variety of options out there for storage. I'm going to talk a little bit about all of them, but you'll see as we move through the challenge that when you apply the system and the mental path that I'm going to teach you for thinking about how to find your stuff, a variety of tools will work. Some tools will work much better than other tools, but you'll be able to experience the system and understand then and make a good decision about what tools are going to be right for you. I have a little stuffy nose. I'm sorry if I sound a little crazy. Okay, so this week's challenge. You're going to use your craft supplies to create a big benefits reminder and a reward list for each of the 5, it says 5 challenges, but it's 8. Each of the 8 challenges you will complete. Hang it up somewhere where you'll see it every day. You're going to read the 4-section system article on the Scrap Rack website. Excuse me. You can email me if you have any questions about that. And my email address is going to be coming up. Create your themes index. Gather your supplies together in one room or space. Set your purge goals. Get a purge box. Find a home for your purge. Where will you send it, take it, etc., sell it, whatever. But you need to write that goal down and post it right on the purge box. You need to evaluate your space for visibility and accessibility, because as we start working, you're going to clean out one area of your space, and that's going to be your organized only space. And as we sort things and put them away, that's where they're going to go. And as we sort and put things away, we're going to clear out more space so that that organized only space slowly but surely creeps all the way around your scrapbooking room or space. And when I talk about your scrapbooking room or space, it could be an entire room, it could be a closet, it could be rolling totes that you haul around with you everywhere you go. It doesn't matter. All of the principles that we're going to talk about through this challenge are going to be it doesn't matter what kind of tool or what kind of space you have. In fact, our very first challenge where we actually do sorting next week is going to be the paper challenge. And one of the reasons we start with paper is because even after the challenge for next week, when we go through that paper sorting process, and so many of us are just overwhelmed with paper, you can use what you do next week immediately. The very next time you scrap, you will reap the benefit of what you do in challenge week number 2. So the piles of paper challenge. So know that as we move through, you're going to be able to start using the 4-section system and using your new organization skills to create projects and do scrapbooking, even though you're not completely done organizing. Finally, you need to join, if you're a Facebooker, you need to join the 2011 Get Organized Challenge group on Facebook. I know it's no longer 2011, but once a group gets to a certain size on Facebook, we can't change the name of it. So unfortunately, we cannot change the name of the 2011 Get Organized Challenge group. So that's what it's called. And I'll send out links to everything, all the things that I'm talking about. I'll send a link to my scrapbooking room, a link to the 4-section system, a link to the Facebook page. Now, the Facebook page is important for a couple of reasons. One reason is we give out prizes every week for people who are moving through the challenges. You don't have to totally complete the challenge. You just have to make a good, strong attempt at it. And then everybody who posts on Facebook, how they're doing, their progress, post their progress, their name gets put into a drawing. And every week we give away a little prize. So just another little added benefit to being part of the challenge group. Now, if you're not on Facebook and have no desire to be on Facebook, you can email me your progress also, and like I said, you'll get my email address here in a few minutes, and just put in the subject line challenge progress note, and then I will add you to the drawing, the list drawing as well. So, but if you are a Facebooker, it's really fun, and it's a great, great, great group of women with a great attitude who've done a lot in the last year or whatever of organizing. So if you're frustrated or overwhelmed, there's somebody right there with you who can say, hey, stick it out, and you'll just do great. Now, I talked a little bit about the beginning about the brain and how your brain works, and that we tend to get overwhelmed with organization tasks, and it's generally because we bite off more than we can chew. We have this big idea of how we're going to get organized, and so we make this huge mess trying to get organized and thinking we're going to clean it up, and then life gets in the way, and all of a sudden everything gets dumped back into a tote or into a box or a drawer. And the next time we're ready to organize, our brains say, well, that didn't work. You need to try something different. And so we go off on these tangents of trying different things and different tools and different ways to get organized. And really what the problem is not that what you were doing didn't work. It's just that you didn't get to finish it. So one of the great things about this challenge is that we take things on in really doable, small baby steps. So you might have 10 feet of paper, but I'm only going to ask you to organize 6 or 8 inches of it at a time. And so you get to see immediately that you're successful, and then you can just keep moving through. We have gals who are probably on board with this challenge. I haven't checked the listing, who've been on for 4 or 5 challenges in a row, and each time they just do a little bit more and a little bit more, and they just see that progress. So the nice thing about doing things systematically is that your brain doesn't get overwhelmed. So, when you talk about your brain is like the rider and the elephant, where you have this little tiny rider who can control this great big elephant. Well, if the elephant is your emotional brain and the rider is your rational brain, the rider has to be really in control, and that means it has to be unfrustrated and not tired and not overwhelmed. So doing things in small pieces is really a key to the success there of that emotional brain, that rational brain not getting tired, because once your rational brain gets tired, you don't want to make decisions anymore, and you just start putting things in boxes and thinking, oh, I'll get to it later. Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, I don't know what category this is, so I'm going to do miscellaneous. We don't have miscellaneous. Remember that. So really important, just work in small steps. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed or frustrated, and you will see so much success with what you're doing. Okay, so things you'll need to create this week's challenge are pretty easy. Most of them are time related and compute, just creating that computer list. So, but you do need to set aside some time. And just if you need to print this page out, or if you're using the workbook that you downloaded from the website, you can just go through and check the things off. But just a simple list of things that, time to create your benefits board and read the 4-section system article, do the printer, do the themes list on your printer so you can change it around. It's mostly time related. Evaluate your storage tools and your supplies. Here are the general links. Now these are all long links. You don't have to worry about writing them down unless you want to as we're talking, because I'm going to email you out a follow-up email. You'll probably get it tomorrow morning, and it will have all of these links on it. So, but it's pretty pretty simple stuff, where to find the 4-section system. And again, I'm going to go, I have a page here of our website, so I can actually show you, oops, I guess it might be at the end. So, but I can actually show you where on the website to find all of those things. So I'm going to open up the question pane here and see what we've got for questions, if there are any yet. Hang on one second. I know this makes a black block on your screen. I apologize for that. Let's see. Yeah, the black squares, that's a problem with GoToWebinar that they're working on with PowerPoint. So I'm sorry for all of you who are subjected to that. We have people from Pittsburgh, from Syracuse, Pennsylvania, Alberta, Canada. There's our first foreign name. North Carolina. Got some thank you notes here, and I just want to let all of you know, I love doing this. This is the joyful part of my job. So you're all very welcome, but there's really, you know, it's really the thing that I like the most about my whole job. So please make sure you know where to find the articles. I will. Can you make sub-themes, i.e. sports, cheerleading, soccer? Absolutely. And so you'll see even on the website, if you look at like the divider pages, and I'll go through that as well, where you take one of the big divider and you make that sports, and then you subdivide behind it. And that's perfect. So you can put your generic sports stuff in first, grass, cleats, whistles, stuff that's really generic, and then subdivide behind that. Melinda asks, where does Mother's Day, Father's Day, and graduation go? Are they themes or calendars? So if it's something, here's the divining rod, if it's something that happens every year on or about the same date, then, or something that you would participate in every year. So Mother's Day, Father's Day, and Groundhog Day, or sorry, not Groundhog Day, it's graduation. Mother's Day, Father's Day, those are annual events. They're going to happen every year, rain or shine, whether or not you participate in them, they're going to happen. They go in the calendar year. Now, graduation is a little bit different because you probably aren't going to go to a graduation every June. Or there might be other graduations that happen throughout the year for different kinds of things, right? So I would put graduation under G as a theme, or S if it's going to be under school, S for school. So school and graduation tend to go hand in hand, so you could combine those two together. But you need to keep things together, that you need to keep things where your brain can find them. So if your brain doesn't think of graduation and school as a harmonious category, then you want to file them separately, graduation under G and school under S. What kinds of themes would you use for leaves, balloons, etc.? So you're mostly going to use balloons for party, right? Balloons go in party most of the time. Even if you might use a balloon for something else, your brain would probably say, if you said to your brain, where would I have a balloon? It would probably say birthday or party, depending on how old you are, what theme you might have there. Some of us have abandoned the birthday section for just a plain old party section, so we don't have to put any years in there, I guess. So the trick to organizing your supplies is putting them where you're most likely to look for them. So with balloons, for me, it would be party. If your kids are younger, it might be in birthdays. Because even if you need a balloon for something else, it's going to be easy for your brain to think balloons, birthday, party, that's where they would be, and go there and look for them. Now, leaves are an interesting question because, again, it's going to depend how you think about things and what you do in your life. So some people are going to think of leaves and depend on the color and stuff as fall leaves, right? That's what we tend to think of. Now, I'm a big outdoor girl, so I have this whole section called nature. And that's where all my leaves are, in that nature section. Because when I'm working on fall pages and I think I need leaves, my brain goes, those would be in nature. But if you're not out there doing lots of outdoorsy stuff, then you might not have a nature section. So then your leaves are going to go where you think about them most, maybe in the fall section. Can I print the slides for notes? You absolutely can. There'll be a link to the PDFs for them on the website. Would you combine daughters and girls, and what about sisters? Yes, I would put them all in families. Well, I guess specific things about daughters and sisters would all be in family. But, and then if you have really girly things, like I have boys. So I have a family section, and then subsection in family is boys. because those are all things I'm going to use together. I don't have any girls, so I don't get to buy any girly stuff. It's kind of a bummer. But yes, put them all in family because all of those things are going to work together. Can you put your list of theme topics up again? I saw some I didn't think of but could use. So yeah, I'll scan back to the themes list while we're answering questions here. But again, I'm going to be able to, this is going to be something that you can get to on the website. So if you want, you can get the PDFs and download them from the website too. I have a lot of supplies that are city specific, not New York City, Las Vegas, Paris. How would you organize those into themes? Would you do cities or lump them together under vacations or something else? So you bring up a great point, Sarah. It depends how you think of them. So if in my scrap rack, I have those kinds of things under T for travel. Everything's under T for travel. And then within the travel thing, I might have a section for the United States, and then for Europe, and then other countries or whatever. So you could subdivide it that way. So if you think of those things as vacation, instead of T for travel, V for vacation. So you wrote the word vacation, I would put them under vacation because that's where you're going to go and look for them. And then you can subdivide them within the vacation thing. The key is putting them either like in travel or vacation because other things like passports and map paper and suitcases and airplanes and all of those things are going to tie in with all of these things from New York, Las Vegas, and Paris. So you might use that suitcase or the passport sticker or whatever. You want to keep them together so you can use them together. Did anyone else have trouble printing out the workbook and having everything on each print? I have a lot of info not printing from what I'm looking at on the screen for my workbook. Boy, the workbook's just a PDF, so I'm happy to send you another copy of it. Maybe something happened in the download. But the workbook doesn't actually go word for word. It's just kind of an outline of things that you can follow along with in the webinar. So that might be why it's not there. Can we send our purges to you? No, no, no. There are so many great charities, though. So if you have trouble thinking about where to send the purge, simple things like nursing homes and kindergartens and public schools are starved for art supplies. And they don't care what it looks like. They don't care how old it is. They love getting anything that's purged. Christine says, the pages on my scrap rack hang funny. I'm going to guess that you might have your scrap rack set up on its back, Christine, but if you email us a picture at customer service at thescraprack.com, I will happily, or someone there will happily diagnose your problem. But they'll probably send it to me, actually. When you say gather, do you mean in your scrapbooking room or in another room? It doesn't matter where you gather it. You can gather it all up in your scrapbooking room, or you can gather it all up in another room. I know some people have the luxury of taking everything out of their scrapbooking room and putting it somewhere else, and then just bringing things back in and putting them away in the right place. But not everybody, or not most people, they don't have that. But you just want to get everything together around you, so that you don't get a task done and then later you find another bag or you find something else or whatever, and you feel like you're just constantly on this treadmill of finding things. Do you purge your scraps too? Absolutely, I do. We're going to talk about scraps and how to decide which scraps to throw away and which scraps to keep in next week's webinar. How do you do with paper stacks as far as themes are set? For example, a stack might contain floral, paper, striped, solid, and all different themes. Will this be addressed later? Yes, it will. It will all be addressed in the webinar next week. But if you want to, there's tons of information on our website. So if you want to jump around on the website, there's other, just kind of increase your knowledge. You're welcome to do that and kind of study ahead. I have a post here. How's the book coming along? I'm writing a book on organization. I'm sad to say that it's not coming along very quickly, and my deadline for my first draft is June 30th. So I'm going to have to bust a move on it. But thank you for asking. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I put my goals out there to get the draft of this book done by June. And so now people ask me about it, and this kind of fires me up to keep me focused and doing it. We've got some more posts here of people from Michigan, Colorado, Glassboro, New Jersey, and Denmark. Welcome, Denmark. Oregon, Atlanta, and Dallas. Nice. It's hard for me to read people's names, so I'm gonna see if I can make my pane just a little, my question here a little bigger, and then maybe I can read people's names. I am getting into digital scrapping too and plan on being a hybrid scrapper. Do you have tips on how to organize your digital stash to accompany your traditional stuff? You know, if you think about it, one of the beautiful things about this whole series is you can apply this information, this method of thinking about organization to all kinds of things. But you can absolutely do the same 4-section system with your digital supplies. So if you're working on your Christmas pages physically, but you think there might be something digitally you want to use, then start a digital file that's the 4-section system. Within each of those major files, you're going to open up the calendar year file. And then in December, you're going to open up the December file, and then you're going to find your Christmas stuff. So once you start thinking about it and how to categorize things so that they're all going to tie together in your brain, you can apply it easily to digital scrapbooking. Someone from Columbus, Ohio. I'll be in Columbus, Ohio on Thursday. There's a scrapbooking show in Columbus on Friday and Saturday this week, and I'm headed out there on Wednesday. Rebecca says, will you be at the Louisville convention? No, we won't make it to Louisville this year, I'm sorry to say. We do have someone else from Layton, Utah, and from Louisville, Louisiana. Oh, Mexico, Indiana, Saskatchewan, Bear River, Utah. Nice. All over the place. We've got someone from London, Ontario, Canada. Excellent. Crescent, Iowa, Tallahassee. Linda asked, should all storage be of the same type? Not necessarily. You can combine things in different kinds of containers. You can use, so, you know, people who are paper junkies, I'm going to talk specifically about the scrap rack. People who are paper junkies who have, you know, 6, 7, 8 feet of paper, putting it all into a scrap rack isn't practical for them. However, they can use a scrap rack and paper storage boxes and combine, the same way we talked about digital, combine the two things. So you have all your Christmas embellishments on your scrap rack and your stickers and your die cuts and references to your rubber stamps and your crinkle cartridges, and then you have a box of paper that's all Christmas paper. So when you're working on Christmas, you pull out your paper storage box, put it on your desk, but you have all your other Christmas stuff right next to you in your scrap rack. Now you've got everything together. When you're done and you're ready to clean up, you just take that Christmas paper storage box and put it back on the shelf. So you've pulled out all your Christmas paper really quickly, put it away really quickly, and put all your embellishments together as well. Do season and holidays go into the themes index or into the calendar? Seasons and holidays go into the calendar section. Remember, here's a little, that's always kind of a tricky one for people. We're keeping things together we use together. So with I talked about it with sports, right? Basketball, football. But in the calendar year, it's equally important. You don't want to put winter under W and Christmas under C, because then when you're working on Christmas, all the things that might also work for winter are going to be in a totally different category, and you may not remember that you have them, or it might be, you know, hard to get to or whatever. So by combining them and putting all of your Christmas and winter stuff together in winter, now you've got not only Christmas and winter, but right next to that is Thanksgiving, and on the other side is New Year's Eve. So all these pictures that you might have from the holiday season that you're scrapping at the same time, you've got all of your supplies together as well. So and that's really important when we talk about going to a proper class. I love the colors of the PowerPoint and the pretty floral background. Thank you so much. I have to tell you that floral background is new on all our packaging. It was designed by a wonderful, wonderful artist here in Washington State, where I live, in Tacoma. And I think it is a guy. His name's Tori Azure, and I thought he did a fabulous job. So thank you for commenting on that. Would specific grandchildren and their interests be individual themes? No. Big no, no, no. And the reason for that is because some of the things that you buy specifically for your grandchildren or specifically for their interests might cross over into other things. So let's say you had a granddaughter who was interested in ballet. So you had bought all this ballet stuff for her, and if you put it under her name, if you go to somebody else's ballet recital or you go to a professional ballet or something like that, when you went to your scrap rack or wherever and to look for ballet supplies, you might not necessarily remember to go look in your granddaughter's special stuff, right? But if all of your ballet stuff is under ballet, when you're scrapbooking your granddaughter's ballet pictures, you're naturally going to go to ballet. So you want to put everything in those big general categories so that you get as much use out of it as possible. And I'm telling you, you will be amazed once you start grouping things together. And I talked a little bit before about how difficult it is for some people to get into that calendar year, because we have been trained to containerize things, right? To put buttons in a box and beads in a different box and stuff in a jar and flowers in this and brads over here and eyelets over here. And so you're relying on your brain for two major pieces of information. One, do I have it? And two, where did I put it? Well, when you group everything together by color and you look at a page and you go, oh, I need a pink button on this ballet page, you go to pink and all of a sudden you see not only do you have those pink buttons, but you have flowers and glitter and felt shapes and all kinds of other bling and stuff that's going to work, that had you only gone to your button box to look for the pink buttons, you would have missed all those other wonderful products. So embellishments are really hard for people to sort of get their brain around, because the scrapbooking industry has beat into our heads for the last 20 years. You have to separate, containerize all of these things. And when you look at people's scrapbooking rooms on the internet, you see everything's containerized. It's not the same as organized. It's neat and it's tidy and it's put away. But organized, if you look up the dictionary definition, is to combine into a structured, functional whole. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're putting some structure around our scrapbooking supplies, putting them all together as a whole system rather than individual systems, boxes, or containers that you have to think about independently. So, silly question. Our paper and embellishments will be sorted by the same theme system, correct? Absolutely. It's all going to be grouped together in the same theme. Think about it like this. If you're working on a travel page, right, and if you go to your travel section of your 4-section system, it's going to be so much easier to find the paper, the embellishments, the stickers, the die cuts, even a representation of a Cricut cartridge that you might have for travel. So you're going to get the most use out of everything, rather than going, oh, I need travel paper, that's over in this drawer. Oh, I need travel stickers, they're in the sticker box. Oh, don't I have a Cricut cartridge with travel? I can't remember which one it is. Maybe I won't use it. Those Cricut cartridges are, anywhere from $36 to $100. So being able to incorporate them right into your 4-section system so you remember that you have them and where they are, and we'll talk about how to organize those as well as we get into the sessions. You're going to be so much more productive with the stuff that you've got. Shelly Van Warmer, hi Shelly, posted for me to remind you that there's a docs area on the Facebook page, and so since this challenge has been going on and on, there's a lot of work that's already been done for you. So especially if you're looking for things like a really long involved themes list to get ideas for themes, those are all posted already by past participants on the Facebook page. Linda says, I have a lot of different containers. Well, once you go through and organize, you can decide which of those containers are going to work for you, if any. You might be able to reuse some of the stuff that you've got, just incorporating it into a 4-section system. Debbie says, I am from Texas. Where can you get a copy of what you have just went over? You're going to be able to get it all online, Debbie, and I'll show you at the end of the question period. I'll go through and show you where to find all that information online. Kimberly says, thanks for the webinars. I'll continue to tune in, and she is in Clinton, Illinois. Sarah says, I missed the first few minutes. Can you give a recap of the big benefit board again? Thanks. Yeah, your big benefit board is how you're going to set your goals and how you're going to reward yourself. So it needs to be something that motivates you to stay focused, because if you get overwhelmed, it's easy to give up. So you have to have some big, carrot at the end of that stick that's going to keep you focused. So the big benefits board is your overall, how you're going to feel, and feeling is really important, especially for women. How am I going to feel when this is done? What's going to be better? What's going to be the benefit to me? And then the 8 small rewards are what kind of feeds you that little bit of carrot as you work through the challenge. And again, all of this is going to be recorded and posted on the website, so you can feel free to rewatch whatever sections you want. Patty asks, can you use the same system for digital scrapbooking? Absolutely. We kind of covered that already. Megan says, is this webinar going to be available to view again? Yes, I'm going to post it on the website. Do you categorize the same way for card making? Absolutely. And I wouldn't separate my card making supplies from my scrapbooking supplies. Why? Because you've invested all this money in scrapbooking supplies that might work great on your cards, and also a whole bunch of more money in card making supplies that might work great on your scrapbook pages. When you put it all together, if you're making a thank you card and you go to your thank you section, you're going to see all the different things that you have to do with that card. Some of them will be scrapbooking supplies. But if you're making a page, maybe even for, let's say, Thanksgiving, that says thankful for, if you go to that thank you section, you're going to see stamps and punches and maybe a Cricut cartridge that you had originally bought thinking it was for thank you cards. So it's going to work great on those Thanksgiving thankful pages too. So yes, put them all together and you'll get the most possible use out of them. I'm retired. I may not, sorry, this is from Janine. I'm retired. I may not have that many themes. Is that okay? Absolutely. You'll probably be better off than the rest of us, actually. Themes are just what you scrapbook about. So if you're retired, you might travel or garden or volunteer somewhere or whatever, just whatever it is that you scrapbook about. So even if you just have one or two themes, well, then your life will be a lot easier actually to put things away too. Kim says, I have so many embellishments that I don't use because I put them away and do not see them. If I had all of those items out and visible, I would be buried. Just need some ideas. You won't be buried because we're going to teach you how to organize them so that you can actually get to them and see them. So a lot of this is the process of thinking about how you organize and then actually putting those techniques into work. One of the things that happens with embellishments is that we end up buying hundreds of orange buttons. Well, you only need 12 buttons at the most in any one, scrapbook page design, right? So you don't necessarily have to have all of those things in front of you. You just have to have enough of them to complete a project. So you may be one of those people, Kim, that ends up with a backstock area. So when you go to your orange section, you see a dozen orange buttons. And when that little Ziploc bag of orange buttons is empty, then you go to your orange backstock area, pull out that orange box, refill the button bag, and at the same time you have the orange backstock out, you can reload your orange brads and your orange eyelets and your orange glitter or anything else so that you kind of get it all done at one fell swoop. So even though those eyelets or brads might not be empty, if they're getting low, you've got them refilled. The next time you sit down to scrap, you need something orange, you go to that orange section, you've got everything you need. So you're not alone. I mean, most of us have enough scrapbooking supplies that if we scrapbook every day for the rest of our lives, we'd never have to buy another thing, and we'd still have to will some of it away. So Kelly asked, do you put pattern paper into themes? Absolutely. If it goes with the theme, that's where you're going to put it. I mean, we'll get really into paper questions next week as we start the paper organizing challenge. So that's really a big challenge for a lot of people. So we're expect that to be a huge conversation. Mandy asks, for the purge box, do we have to get rid of it immediately or can we hold on to it? I am on some forums where we donate supplies to needy crafters or crafters who have lost their stuff due to storms, tornadoes, etc. I would like to hold on to my purge stash and donate to those folks when needed. Is it okay to hold on to it or should I get rid of it? You can do whatever your goal sheet on the front of your purge box says. So if you want to, that's a great thing to do. What I might suggest even, Mandy, is that you fill Ziploc bags or something with purge and then just close them up and move them somewhere else. And whenever someone needs a donation, you can just go and grab one Ziploc bag or one. I know some people just use priority mailboxes from the Postal Service. And once the box is full, they close it up and send it off to wherever it's going to go. So there's a lot of options like that. But absolutely, you just need to follow the rule. Once it goes into the purge box, it doesn't come out. You're not allowed to dig back through it later and reevaluate things. Just go with your gut and get rid of it. That's where those mailboxes come in handy, because once you pull that tape off and seal it closed, it's hard to rip it open because then you have to throw the box away and start again. But yeah, just write down what you're going to do with it. That's really the most important thing. And maybe set some minimum dates or some maximum dates. So if this box of purge isn't gone by June 1st, I'm going to donate it to the nursing home, or I'm going to donate it to, someone else. So just so you have that it's constantly moving forward is really important. The goal part of it is huge. I can't even tell you, ladies, how important it is to write that down and then tell somebody else about it, about your goal. I mean, it just makes a huge difference. Lori says, what is the workbook you mentioned from the website? Is it free? The workbook is free. It's just a download from the website. When you go to the information page, there's a link here that says click to download. Most people can download it with no problem, but occasionally somebody has a problem. If that's the case, you can just email customer service and we will. If you email customer service, just put workbook please in the subject line and nothing else. And then Joanna will attach the workbook and send it back to you. Please don't send another email that says workbook please and then you've responded back and said thank you. It's nice to say thank you. But every time Joanna gets something that says workbook please in the subject line, she doesn't actually read any of the emails. She just assumes it's a request for the workbook, attaches the workbook, and send it back. So you'll just keep getting them as long as it says workbook please in the thing. But we can definitely send you one. Kevin says, I have tons of flowers, stamps, stickers, silk paper. How would you sort them? By season, in nature, or theme, or flowers? None of the above. I would put all my flowers into the color section. Because as you just said here, season, nature, theme, or flowers, they could go in so many different places. But the truth of the matter is, if you're looking for color on a page, and you think, I need a pink flower, you're just going to be able to go to pink and see your pink flowers. You want to add a red flower, you're going to go to red and find that red flower. So if you, flowers should be grouped, in my opinion, just under the rainbow, under your color group, so that you can find them for everything. Linda's with us from Denmark. She says, I do genealogy and love the old family pictures, but would they be under family or under ancestry genealogy? So if you're talking about just photo storage, I wouldn't put them in with my supplies. We do a whole session on photo storage and organization, so we can address that more then. If you do want to keep them with your supplies, then I would definitely keep them under family. I would think that genealogy stuff is going to all be under family also, although you may be keeping it separate because of the archival concerns about it or whatever. But if you were going to put them in, I'd put them under family. Teddy says, papers I do as calendar year, or should they be done by rainbow, both print and solid together? Just depends what's on them. If they're just color papers, they're going to go in rainbow, but if they're printed with something themed, like, winter, snow, or Christmas, then they're going to go under that particular category. Jennifer asks, you keep saying subdivide, but I'm confused. Does the index include the titles that will be subdivided? Yes, but generally when you write your themes list, like the one that you see on the screen now, you're going to write it out just kind of as, what do they call it, free form or whatever. You're just writing down everything you think of, and then you're putting it into alphabetical order. So when you look at this screen, you can see that baseball and basketball and football and everything are on there. But really what you're going to want to do is, if you have all those themes, you're going to want to, as you're sorting and organizing, you're going to combine all those things. You're going to go, hey, wait, I have sports. I'm going to put football and basketball and baseball into the sports category as subcategories. So when you first start the list, it's going to be big and kind of all over the place. And as you start to sort and organize, then you're going to pull those things together and subcategorize them. So even though you might separate baseball and basketball and football into 3 different piles when you're sorting, when you scoop them up and put them away, they're all going to go under S for sports, and then behind that tab, football, basketball, baseball. I hope that makes sense. Christine says she has some problems with the workbook printing. There's one page in the workbook that prints upside down if you print it in booklet form. I'll have to take a look at that. Is the workbook on the website? We already talked about that. I had trouble losing the audio during this class. Is it my computer or did others have the same problem? So let me hear back if you're losing audio. Girl Scouts love stuff for summer camp if you're looking for places to purge. I missed the first 2 minutes. Did you talk about the workbook then? Would you mind repeating that info? We did not talk about the workbook then. You've probably gotten enough info about the workbook, but it is on the website. You can download the PDF for it, and it just follows the series along. For those people who like to take notes or check things off, it has a little checklist of the challenges, so you can kind of check off what you've gotten done. Can we download or purchase the webinar for future refresher courses? You can download it. It's going to be on our website, so you can just download it from there. It's an ongoing series. It changes and evolves every time, so you're welcome to watch the new ones every time or save the old ones. Tammy says, loved your quote about goals to paper. Could you please include the quote in the email tomorrow? Yes, I will try to remember to do that. It's my favorite. It's my saying of the year. I'm sure I'm driving my children with it. Driving my children crazy with it, I'm sure. It's even up on our whiteboard at the office. I have it on a little scrap piece of paper in the notebook I carry everywhere with me. It's my big mission this year. How would you know how much you need to purge? You don't really know, I guess, until you start sorting. So if you start with a goal, like if your goal is, I'm going to purge 1 inch of scrapbooking supplies or craft supplies for every year I've been scrapbooking, and, if you're half an hour into organizing and you have 3 inches of purge already, then you may need to up your goal or lower your goal. So it just kind of depends as you start looking through it. But anything that you look at and you kind of go, ooh, why did I buy that? That gut reaction, why did I buy that? Is a sure sign that it needs to go in the purge box. So once you start going through things, you'll kind of get a good gauge of what you should be purging and how much you should be purging. And then I would just push myself a little beyond what you think you should be doing, unless you don't have a lot of scrapbook supplies. But I'm guessing that if you're on board for this challenge, you have a lot of scrapbook supplies. You can probably give away more than you think. And think it's kind of funny, you'll sort of get the purge bug, right? Because when you start to get rid of things and it's easier to find things, and you'll find yourself getting so much more done and having more fun with it, because you can actually get to your stuff and use your stuff, that makes it a lot easier to get rid of stuff that's kind of iffy. Because you're like, I don't need to dig through this. I don't need to pay to store it. I don't need to, move it around or whatever. I'm not going to use it. And so I'm missing all the good stuff that I might be using because I have all this junky stuff that I'm having a hard time getting rid of. So it makes it easier. I'll tell you something else that happens once you organize this way so things are accessible is that you start to use things for stuff you never really would have used it before. So all of us have enough birthday stuff to make birthday cards for every birthday party our kids ever go to. But a lot of times we end up buying a birthday card in Target because it's difficult to get to our stuff to make that card quickly. Well, if you can get to your stuff, if you can just flip to your birthday section and put together a card really quickly with some stickers or some bling or some other little embellishments, you're going to use up more stuff. So some of that older stuff that you have that you're not sure is appropriate for what how you're scrapbooking now, you're going to be able to use it up. If it's a kid's birthday, you can grab some birthday stickers or birthday rub-on and put it on their milk glass in the morning, or add a note to their lunch bag, or put something on the napkin that's in their lunch or whatever, because it's quick and it's easy. If you're going to a dinner party and you're taking a bottle of wine, you can go to your scrap rack, get a tag out of the back, use a thank you sticker or whatever, and some little wine stickers, and make a little thank you tag for the bottle of wine and out the door. And your host that you bring it to thinks that you're amazing because you made this little tag, and really you've just used up some stuff so that you wouldn't have used before. So once you get it all organized, it just becomes really simple. So I guess I keep saying these things about the scrap rack, and I know that many of you don't really even know what that is. So I'm just going to quickly go through what the different components are of a scrap rack. So this is the scrap rack basic. It's a metal base. It's got Velcro on the front, and the 3-ring sections just stick on the Velcro. So you have like 7 notebooks worth of stuff that's just out there in front of you on your desktop and really easy to get to. So if you're working on sports, you're going to flip to the S section and find that sports category. It's built on a standard 3-ring system. They're called spinders, binder, spine combined. Each binder is going to hold 20 to 30 pages plus dividers. A single base unit, which is what you saw back here, will hold 7 to 9 binders on it. So some people really cram them on there. It comes with 7, but we've seen people work in actually as many as 10. The locking tabs at the end keep the pages from slipping through the 3-ring section, so it's an important little feature. We make a variety of storage pages. Now, anything that's a standard 3-hole punch works on the scrap rack system. These are our basic storage pages right here. And you can see in the picture, each little pocket has its own little flap. So when you put something in, the flap closes over the top. But you can also tuck that flap in behind so that if you're working at home, you don't tear up your cuticles and stuff. Like with some of the pages, you have to kind of fight to get in the top. Like regular page protectors or whatever, and it rips up your cuticles. Well, because all of our pages have this little flap, it helps hold stuff in, but it also can be tucked behind. These pages are made out of a food-grade plastic, so it's really lightweight because scrapbooking supplies are heavy. You didn't want to add a bunch of weight to your storage system with the pages. So they're very lightweight, but they're incredibly durable. In fact, the only time we've ever had a problem with them is when it's been a manufacturing error and the holes were punched, off the edge, or the page wasn't seamed or whatever. So they come in packages of 10. They also come in variety packs. The dividers are larger than the pages. It says longer than the pages. I must have been drinking beer when I was writing that. Longer than the pages. That protects all the edges and corners. They also work as like the covers of your book for each section. Make it easy to find major categories. We recommend 2 to 3 per spiner. They really help with page stability as well. And they come in packs of 5 or 15. These are the specialty storage pages. So the one on the far left is your embellishment storage page. It's double-sided. It has 12 pockets on each side. You can put any kind of embellishment into a little Ziploc bag, and it comes with a Ziploc bag. Drop them into those pockets. It makes it easy to store and very, very visible. You can see anything that's in those little pockets. You can see what they are. The middle one is called the side loader single, and that's a 12 by 12 pocket page, perfect for paper or pages in progress or page kits or anything like that. Made out of a little bit heavier plastic material than the basic pages in the screen before. And then finally the wraparound ribbon and fiber storage card, and that is obviously for storing your ribbon and fiber and being able to put it easily into your 4-section system right in with that rainbow. Travel pack is how we move our scrap rack binders around if we're just going for an evening crop. And to do that, you just pull one of them off your base unit. So if you're going to work on Christmas, you would just go to your scrap rack, pull that Christmas section off your base unit, put it inside the travel pack. Actually hold 3 spinders. It comes with the pen loop panel that you see in the bottom right-hand corner picture. Right below the pen loops, you see there's another like clear pocket with a zipper. That's an additional, that's something you can add on to it, but you can Velcro that in as well. Then underneath that pen loop flap is a couple of elastic straps for your paper trimmer. And then underneath the clear pocket flap, there are 3 mesh pockets that are designed to hold tools and stuff, and it's reinforced at the bottom. All of this stuff is on the website with a lot more details and a lot more pictures so you can see different things. Just quickly so you know what I'm talking about here. The crop crate apron. This apron fits around the Office Depot brand tote in the lower left-hand corner, and you can see the colors of them coordinate with the travel packs. But you can literally take a scrap rack base unit and 7 spinders worth of supplies, stand them up inside that tote, and then take it out the door or store it in the closet or whatever. And then when you get to the crop or class or when you're scrapbooking at home, you take everything out of the tote, put it back together, and use the lid for the tote as a table. And now you have everything right at your fingertips at a crop or class, or if you scrap at the dining room table, and it's only taken a few minutes to get it all out and set it up. And then the pockets on the front, you can see in the bottom right corner picture, they hold all sorts of different things, scissors, pens, any of those kind of basic tools. There's a side pocket for your paper trimmer, so just all kinds of goodies there. Okay, so how do you find this stuff on our website? When you click into the website, get my little pen here. When you click into the website, you get the entry screen, and then you click into this screen. So if any of the products you're just going to find right here by clicking the shopping tab, and then it's going to bring up the subcategories below. So scrap racks, pages, dividers, travel packs, accessories, spinders. Packages are groups of scrap rack products that are already put together. So if you don't want to decide the individual components yourself, you can buy a pre-packaged one. We have a section called Cool Tools, and that's like all kinds of fun and funky tools. A lot of great cutting tools on there right now. The Freestyle mouse is there. The Magnetic Crafter's easel is there. All products is all products. And then number 10, the bargain basement, is where we put anything that we have. Usually it's stuff that we have used to demonstrate with at a show. So most of it's brand new. It's just that it's been in and out of the box, so we don't sell it at full price. So if you're looking for a special deal, you might check the bargain basement and see what we've got going on in there for you. So that's where the shopping pages are. Now you're going to find right over here on the left side, 2012 Spring Cleaning Get Organized Challenge button. And when you click on that button, that's going to take you to the spring cleaning page where we'll have links to the 4-section system article, all the other things we've sort of talked about, and once we post this recorded video, it'll be posted on that page as well. So that little link, the 2012 link, will stay there during the whole challenge, so you can refer back to it. Sorry, I had to take a little drink there. You can get back to everything we've talked about in the recorded version just by clicking on that link at any time. It'll take you to those pages. Over here is the picture of my scrapbook room. So if you want to see sort of the step-by-step of what we did and why we did things in that room, you can click on that picture and it'll take you to a whole series of pictures of start to finish from that room, including my mother being recruited to come in and help me paint the room. She did a great job. You can see all the big flowers in the background. She did all those for me. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'll pop back to the question pane and see. What do we have here? From Gina, is there a way to find places for our purse, or should we just call to find out if they will take donations? You know, almost any school, daycare, nursing home, hospital, all of those places are, I know one of our gals donates to Ronald McDonald House. But if you're looking for ideas, join the Facebook group and just put a post up about that, and you'll get tons of ideas. There's all kinds of organizations that need scrapbooking supplies. Carolyn asks, I can't download the PDF workbook. Can you email it to me as well? I can email it to you. Let me see if this next, no, I'm going to go back, right? Let's see. No, let's go back. So I'm going to put up the email addresses again here so you can see them. It's just customer service at thescraprack.com, right here. We'll circle it. And just put in the subject line, workbook, please. Let's see if I can write with my pen here. Work. No, this is hard with my mouse. Workbook. And then, looks like a kindergartner. And then Joanna will send you the workbook. And don't worry about responding back, thanks, or anything once you get it from her. So anybody who needs it, you can email customer service and ask for it. What about the extra stuff like chipboard, stamps, punches, tools? We're going to talk about all that as we get through the 8 weeks. Jane is in Australia. I think you might be our winner for furthest away, Jane. Welcome. Leslie from Arizona. What do you do with kits? Do you break apart the pieces to insert separately into theme or categories, or you store them together as kits? We're going to talk a little bit about kits as we get into the challenge, but remember, sort of your guiding light is keep things together I would use together. So if you have a kit, the chances are the things in the kit are going to go together, at least initially. Sometimes we get kits and we use up the bulk of it, and then we have all these stray pieces, and at that point they might get separated out or moved around. But what you really want to do is figure out a way to represent that kit in your 4-section system. So if you've got the new basic gray Life of the Party birthday kit, right, you want to make sure that in your birthday section you have some kind of something that's going to guide you to that basic gray kit. And we'll talk about that, like I said, as we get through that. There's a couple of ways to do it. We'll talk about them in future webinars. If you only make cards and don't scrapbook, how do these things work? I have a ton of die cuts, embossing, folders, etc. Do I sort the dies in the same manner? Absolutely. You're going to have a lot less themes, probably. I'm guessing, maybe not. But you're just going to sort them the same way. Keep the things together you would use together. You're going to have lots of alphabets. You have your themes. You have your holiday cards. It's exactly the same. And then you have your rainbow embellishments. So even if you're only making cards, you can use the same methods, just different themes. Let's see. Melinda says, I know next week is a paper sort, but will you be showing us how to put multiple pieces of 12 by 12 paper in paper pages? Yes. I attended the class in Portland last week, and you mentioned that you could put at least 10 pages in each folder. How do you insert the paper in such a way that you can see the sheets? So our pockets, that 12 by 12 pocket page, let's see if I can skip ahead here to it. The supersized single, our pages are 12.5 by 12.5. So that, whoops, I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? So that means, see, this is faster. So that means you've got an extra ½ inch of space. So when whoops, no, I'm too fast. No, I don't want to do any of that. Oh, we'll go down this way. So when I put my paper in my in the supersized single, well, you can see there's a black piece of paper behind this yellow paper. You can actually kind of fan them so you can't see the whole paper, but you have a good idea of what's back there because you'll be able to see just a little edge of it. So I put 5 sheets in facing forward with a little fan at one end, and then the pockets are totally clear. I put 5 sheets in the other way with a little bit of a fan. So I don't know if I have a picture of that for the next challenge or not, but I'll try to. Somebody from Crawford, New Jersey. Someone asked about paper scraps. Yes, we'll talk about those at the next challenge. Nichelle is from Bremerton. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for doing this class. I'm really excited about starting the first challenge. Good, I'm glad. You'll really love it. I mean, the reviews from previous people are just really great, and people have really just found so much easier to move through getting organized when you have a plan. So, if you have Christmas letters, do they go with letters or Christmas? They are theme specific, so they're going to go in Christmas. So remember your alphanumeric section is anything that's alphanumeric but not theme specific. Hattie asked, will you make it to the Chicago Convention in October? Yes, we will. We just signed up for that one last week, actually. So we were going to come to the one that's in August, but they wouldn't give us a booth. So now we're going to come with CK, and we'll be there in October. Susan from Martinez is here. Lisa says, will you be at Scrapper's Dream Vacation in Orlando? No, but we will be at the Orlando CK show in May. Pennsylvania, Texarkana, Texas, North Dakota. Is the Scrap Rack system available in stores? It's in some stores, not a lot of stores. You can ask your local store owner, and she can bring in whatever you need. So she's able to order just bits and pieces for you if you want to support your local store. Kelly says, thanks so much. Can't wait to get started. Are you still sending out the project organization emails? I have not received an email for the last 2 weeks. I'm so sorry, Michelle. Yes, project organization is going to be an ongoing thing. It's just that we had the Portland Scrapbook Expo last week, and that really put me behind the 8 ball for, getting things done. Now, and I have another show this week, so that's going to take me out of town again for another 5 days. So my intention was to do project organization every week. And so for those of you who haven't heard about project organization, let me go forward here and I'll show you where it is on the screen. Right here, whoops, no, I clicked off again. Right here, project organization is right there. It's kind of a weekly mini class, so it's just a little small task. And it was supposed to be weekly, but I don't think I'm going to be able to, I just don't think there's enough hours in the day when we're in the show session. So I'm going to try and post there as much weekly as I can, but it'll probably be like every other week during the show season. So hopefully I'll be able to get something up there for you this coming weekend. Even though we're going to be in Columbus, I've already started it, so I'll be just able to tie it up, hopefully. But thanks for asking about that, and I'm glad you're finding them helpful. This sounds wonderful. Can't wait to get started from Ella. Jenny says, how do you categorize things like stripes and dots? We're going to talk about that in paper sorting next week. So are you going to organize addressing, are you going to address organizing paper at another time? Yes. The whole session next week is about paper. Do holidays go in the calendar section, or can you keep Christmas in a theme of its own? We've kind of talked, you probably already got the answer to that. I know you guys ask questions, but you want to put Christmas in winter. So you can have winter, spring, summer, fall, or January, February, March, April, May, June, July, whatever you have. You want to keep Christmas either in December or in winter, however you have it. Because remember, those other things that go with Christmas, snow and snowmen, and maybe things that happen on New Year's Eve, or maybe you're scrapping holiday with family, and then you need to be close to your Thanksgiving things too. So if you want to keep those things together, you would use together. So you can subdivide Christmas in the winter category. That's absolutely fine, but keep it with winter. What if you don't scrap at home, but in crops weekly? Then you really need the 4-section system, Rebecca, because when you go to a cropper class, we're going to talk about going to a crop. we're going to talk about organizing your photos and your memorabilia and your journaling notes in a way that's easy to take just what you need to a crop to. As we go through this whole process, for people who scrap away from home, the 4-section system, there's no other way to do it. Because if you're going to work on sports pictures, now you can just grab your sports pictures, grab your sports section, grab some rainbow, and you're out the door. When you come home, you just put it right back away. Next week, you're going to work on Christmas. You just grab your Christmas pictures and your Christmas section, and you're out the door. Even if you're just going shopping to buy supplies for your Christmas pictures, if you take that Christmas section with you, you're going to buy things that complement rather than duplicate what you already own. I mean, it's so, the 4-section system is, you'll just be amazed. Once you get everything into it and you sort of get beyond that. For years, everybody's been telling me I have to separate my stickers from my die cuts, from my brads, from my eyelets. And you start combining and conquering, you'll just be amazed at how much more you get done, how much more fun it is, and how much easier it is to do, whether you're doing it at home or at a crop or class. So thank you for showing the themes. I think I have my own list all set. I changed scuba to snorkeling. Sometimes we do something we do every vacation. Nice, perfect, Sharon. Glad that was helpful. Georgette says, I'm a card maker. Do you have some tips in card making themes list? You know, I think that the themes list for card making is you will probably know who you do cards for: graduations, retirement, weddings, anniversaries, thank you cards. Those would all be the perfect theme. So maybe if you just go through your head and think, who have I made cards for in the last year and what sort of things? Welcome home, bon voyage, all of those kind of things. They're just going to fall right into place, I think. But again, check the Facebook group. If you have questions, I cannot stress enough how helpful that Facebook group can be. These are all gals who've been organizing, not all of them, but some of them have been with the group since we started in January of 2011. And so they're really helpful. Everybody has a little bit different space that they're working with, or the way that they work, or things that they work with, and all these gals are on there to just really share information. It is a great group. Kelly says, okay, I have tons of butterflies for many different things. Where's a good place to put them? Outdoors, animals, nature. I would consider outdoors and nature probably in the same group. Boy, and I would have butterflies in outdoors, nature, that category, because they're wild, I guess. I mean, animals are wild also, but usually that's a zoo when you see them. So colors are themes. I'm sorry, Tammy asked, so colors are themes? No, colors are going to go in the rainbow section. So I'm not sure what I said that was confusing, but if you want to type it back in and ask, maybe I might have said something that was confusing, but colors are going in the rainbow section. Janet says, where would you put your numbers, letters in with colors versus what? When would you put your numbers, letters in with colors versus alphabet? You would not. You would put your numbers and letters in with themes. So if you had, like I have a set of stickers that look like soccer balls. The print on the alphabet sticker is like a soccer ball, so it's going to go in my soccer section in my sports tab. So if it's theme specific, it's going to go in with the theme, or holiday specific, if you have Christmas letters, they're going to go in there. If they're just solid colored letters, they're just going to go in the alphabet section. And the reason for that is, if you put your red letters in red and your blue letters in blue instead of putting them in the alphabet section, when you're trying to spell something out, if you don't have all the colors, all the stickers in red, but you're doing a 4th of July page, so you think, well, I could use red, white, and blue, then you'd have to go to 3 different sections looking for red, white, and blue alphabet stickers. But if you have all your alphabet stickers together in the alphabet section that are generic, then you can get better use out of picking and choosing and making whole words or titles or phrases or whatever without having to search all over your rainbow section for them. So put those colors together. Carolyn says, I use a lot of metallic, silver, gold, copper, and bronze. I use a lot of metallic embellishments. Should I make silver, gold, copper, and bronze separate in the rainbow? I have, or should I just call it metallic? I actually have a tab in my scrap rack that says metallic, and behind that I've subdivided silver, gold, copper, and bronze. So that would be my recommendation. That way they're all together. Debbie says, the farm theme. I think of animals, gardening outdoors. Is it a standalone theme? Well, the way you stated it, Debbie, makes me think that in your brain, that sort of gardening and farm all goes together. And so you want to keep things together you would use together, and you want to keep them somewhere where you would think about them. So if in your brain, it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. So if in your brain, farm is gardening and animals, and probably, you know, cows and horses versus zebras and lions, which may be in a zoo section for you. The important thing is that you're going to go look for them wherever your brain is going to indicate to you that you should look for them. So for you, I would say those farm animals and gardening, farming stuff is all going to be together. How do we represent the Cricut cartridges? You're just going to take a photocopy of the back of your Cricut cartridge box that shows all the little things you can make. You're going to put it in the section where it belongs. So if you have a travel cartridge, you're going to take a photocopy of that, you're going to cut it out, and you're going to put it in a pocket page in the travel section. You may put it in multiple sections, but we'll talk about that more in depth when we get into the Cricut organizing. But you just, again, you just want to put it somewhere where it's going to come up for you and you're going to remember. So when you flip to your travel section, boom, there's that Cricut cartridge example. You have a number on the example, and you have a number on the cartridge or on the box. So if this is, you know, your example says number 5, you go right to your shelf, you grab box number 5 off the shelf, you've been able to match up the cartridge, use it quickly, and you know exactly where to put it away. Will you be addressing how to organize rubber stamps? Yes. We have a whole section on stamps and Cricut cartridge. I think they're all together, stamps, punches, and cutting systems. Linda says, do you organize photos according to the same system? No. Photos go chronologically by layout. Again, we'll spend a whole session just talking about photos, both printed photos and digital. Anna says, what if you buy a package theme with papers and stickers? Would you separate them? Keep them together. You would keep them together. Keep things together you would use together. Are the webinars available to listen to and watch after the fact? Yes, they are. Just go to this page right over here, this link on the website, 2012. Oops, sorry, I'm getting crazy. And you'll be able to find the recorded version. We have somebody from Illinois. When do you check off the rewards? As soon as you get them. So as soon as you've completed your first challenge, you can check off that reward and go get it. So your first challenge is complete and it says, my sweet loving husband's taking me out to dinner at my favorite restaurant. That's reward number 1. If you get it done tonight, then your husband's taking you out to dinner tomorrow. And if he doesn't, you let me know. But yeah, as soon as they're done, take it off and get your reward. Paige says, how soon will the webinar from tonight be available on the website? It should be available tomorrow morning. This is a long one. We've been online for an hour and a half already, so the longer they are, the longer it takes to download and convert and then post. Sometimes I have to post them in 2 segments, but it should be, it'll either be up there tonight or, you know, by noon tomorrow. This just depends. Beverly asks, should chipboard packages that come with a lot of different theme stuff be sorted and separated? I'm sorry for the question if it's redundant. You know, it just depends. It just depends. If you can get a representation, there's a picture on the website of how I store my chipboard also. Chipboard's kind of big and bulky and, you know, challenging. I wouldn't spend a lot of time pulling things apart and resorting them unless you're completely caught up with all the rest of your organizing tasks. It's really important is to find a way to represent that task or that supply in your 4-section system. And so if you have a lot of chipboard stuff, it might just be something as easy as putting a sticky note in that says check your chipboard for animals or check your chipboard for space or whatever, so that you have a reference to get back to it the way we're referencing using the Cricut cartridge. I hope that helps. Is the workbook online? I can't find it. Yes, it's on this page right here, the spring cleaning page. You just have to scroll down. It says download the workbook now or something like that. But it's just a download link. You won't actually see the workbook, but you just download the link. Mary says, I printed out the workbook and it's so helpful. So there we go. Let's see. From rainy and stormy Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thank you for the webinar. I can't wait to get started putting this into action. Terry says, what about those of us that tend to go to crops? We talked a little bit about that. The last session is one about crops too. So once you get everything organized, then we're going to talk about how to actually take all your hard work and take it with you to a crop. What do you do with your negatives? They are all in paper envelopes from Kodak. I would take all my negatives and put them in negative sleeves from the You can get them, they come in packs of 25, and you just feed the negatives into them and then put them in an 8.5 by 11 notebook in chronological order. But the negative holders are available at like Kids Camera, Tall's Camera, any kind of camera shop is going to have them. They work great, and you're protected, and it's archival quality. And if you're someone who's really on the ball, you can actually store your negative notebook in a safe deposit box somewhere outside your house. So if anything happens to it, you would be good to go. Do you have suggestions how to organize your different embellishments to bring along? And we'll talk about that when we talk about embellishments. I'm going to a crop. So Patty says, what are your suggestions on handling the overwhelming feeling when you look at all your supplies? One of the very best thing that you can do is just do small amounts of stuff. So like this task for this week, it's going to take some time, but it's a very doable task. And once you do the whole reason that this challenge is set up with small doable tasks is because most people get overwhelmed and quit if they're not seeing that progress and there's not a light at the end of the tunnel. So the very best thing you can do for yourself is to work in the small challenges that we talk about in the challenge. So next week I'm going to say organize, I think it's 6 to 8 inches of paper. Once you complete that. Once you've completed 6 to 8 inches of paper, then you might have some more time. Then you can just redo it. Do another 6 to 8 inches of paper. But don't think to yourself, I have all afternoon, I'm just going to go for it and do 24 inches of paper. Because inevitably something will go sideways and you'll run out of time and you'll have a mess everywhere that you have to gather up and start over, and you don't want to do that. So you will see that once you do these tasks, these tiny baby step tasks, that you get this gratification of, I did that and it's done and I can see the benefit of it. Now I have a half an hour, I'm not going to do 6 inches of paper, I'm going to do 3. And so you just start with these little tasks, and little by little they're like building blocks, and they all build together to make this wonderful system of everything being organized. So don't let yourself sort of get sucked into a huge job. Just do the small job. You might have time to redo the small job a dozen times over the course of the week. But each time you do the little job that adds to the last job, it's a bigger job, and it's so much more satisfying because you're seeing the benefits of it. And then, like I said, next week, after you do the paper sort, the next time you sit down to scrap, even if you've only got 8 inches of paper sorted, you can use that paper. You can find those things quickly and easily, and you'll see the benefits. So again, it's reinforcing. But the biggest thing, the biggest piece of advice I can give you to avoid getting overwhelmed is to not do bigger assignments than I give you. You can redo the assignment over and over and over, 6, 8, 10 times in the week, but only do the small assignment and then do the small assignment again and again, because then you'll see progress and you won't get overwhelmed. That's the biggest thing. If you get on the Facebook group, I hear that all the time from people on the Facebook group. It's the baby steps that have made me so successful. I don't feel overwhelmed because I'm not trying to do too much. There's my little layup. Sorry about that. Patricia, I make cards. How do you organize 6x6 pads of patterned paper? There really are no themes. Pat from Greenville. We'll talk about that in the paper thing. I'm sorry I'm sort of skipping over those questions for things that are going to happen in future webinars, just because I could talk about paper for another hour and a half here. So, and there's a lot of information on the website. So if you want to kind of get a jump on it on our website, feel free to go to the website and look ahead. Could you please turn the PowerPoint to the 4-section system? I can. Let's see if I can do it quickly. So with my mouse is not moving anything right now. So, but I will as soon as my mouse frees itself up again. What about an everyday theme, or would you consider that a theme of a calendar section called Everyday? I'm thinking of stickers for things that could be anything, any day of the year, working out, laundry, cooking. Well, I think if you look at things like working out, so that would be for me in the sports section, right? Because it goes with sports. So even though if working out means me for aerobics, it's still in the gym and sweaty and whatever, all those things that go with sports. And then things like everyday, like laundry, cooking, etc. I have a section that's called home, actually. And all of those things are in that home and family. It's called home and family, actually. Or in that home and family section, because they are all the regular stuff of the day, right? So, and And then you can subdivide behind that. So you could have home and family, and then you could have cooking is a big one for me. So cooking has its own section, but you could have chores, things like laundry, and maybe if you think gardening is a chore, I love the garden, so that's a different section for me. But laundry or housekeeping or whatever it is. But I would put those. Remember, things that you use for laundry, like your house or soap or those kinds of things, are things that tie into other sorts of chores around the house. So just try to group them together. Patty says, can you go over the rainbow section again? Sorry if this was already covered. But the rainbow section is just everything that doesn't fit into a theme or category. It's not alphanumeric, it's not a theme A to Z, and it's not the calendar. It's just solid colored embellishments, paper, scrap, anything like that. And that just goes grouped by color, so that when you need a blue button, you just flip to your blue section, and there's your blue button. When you see those blue buttons, now because they're in a section of all blue things, it's going to inspire you to use the blue flowers or the blue glitter or the blue brads or blue fiber, whatever you forgot that you had, because they're all together. So just it's combining all of those embellishments rather than containerizing them by color group. Will you be talking about how to sort colored pencils? Yes. Ink pads? Yes. All that stuff comes up, I think, in number 7. What do you do with hearts? Valentine's, lover, etc. Yes, Valentine's. And again, going back to the same thing we talked about with the balloons, right? So balloons, you automatically think of birthday or party when you think about balloons. So if you were making a page and you needed, and you thought, I need a balloon, your brain's going to automatically go, oh, that's in party or in birthday, whichever section you have. The same thing with hearts. If you think, I need a heart, your brain's going to kick into, oh, that's Valentine's Day. It'll be in February. So rather than coming up with tons of categories that you might have to really scour your brain to figure out where they are, you want to try and group things together. That's the easiest possible way for your brain to get there. Let's see. Do we have homework for next time? Yes, you have the challenge for next time. So I can't, my mouse won't move my screen. I'm sorry, I can't move anything on my PowerPoint presentation. And still have like this swirling little thing. Mary says she lost audio for a little bit too. I have some problems with the audio cutting in and out. It sounds fine to me. Sounds like there's a printer running in the background. I don't know what that is. What a theme for nostalgic paper for older readers like Dick and Jane. I would say Dick and Jane for me is school. So it would go in the school section. You don't want to start a section called nostalgic because you're going to have nostalgic travel, nostalgic school, nostalgic holiday, whatever. And then if you don't remember to look at nostalgic, and then you won't find it. So you can go ahead and put that nostalgic stuff right in with whichever theme it goes into, and then you'll find it when you need it. I see the list on Facebook has a theme called ephemera. What would go in there? I think that's how people categorize like the Tim Holtz kind of things. You know, sort of the antique-ish looking sort of kitschy stuff. I'm not sure. I didn't write that list, but that's what I'm going to guess it is. What is a good rule of thumb for things you haven't used? Let's say if you haven't used it in 2 months, purge it. It just depends on what kind of scrapbooker you are. So if you're one of those people that has to have the latest and greatest and you only like the newest and best stuff, then you should establish your purge goals on time. So you should say, I'm going to throw away anything that's more than 18 months old. I'm going to throw away anything that's more than 6 months old, depending on who you are as a scrapbooker. So you just kind of ask yourself those questions. Am I going to use something that I've had for 2 years? It's out of date. It doesn't look good anymore, whatever. Yes or no. So just determine that. If you are a hot and heavy latest and greatest, then that's going to be easy for you to purge because you'll be able to purge anything that's old. Will we sorting 12 by 12 and 8.5 by 11 together or separately? You'll be sorting it together. Debbie says, are you going to add spring cleaning in general for our homes after this session? I don't have time, but I am going to do a home organization session for those of you who are interested in that. I just haven't had time to put it together, and this webinar is too long to add that to. Do the scrap rack pages fit into a 12 by 12 scrapbook? They'll stick out the edges a little bit if you try to put them in a 12 by 12 scrapbook. our pages because they're 12.5, so it's easy to get 12 by 12 stuff into them. They've got that little extra ½ inch, so they will stick out. Mary Smith says the Girl Scout Council is a great place to donate. There is a purge donation options on the docs page of the Facebook group. So if you're looking for places to donate your purge, the Facebook docs section is going to have a list there where you can send your purge. That's from Shelley Van Wormer. She's an authority, so if you see her name pop up in Facebook, she's somebody you can ask about anything. She's got it all dialed in. Thank you for joining us, Shelley. Why don't you store paper in the scrap rack system under the category? I do. I put almost all my paper right into my scrap rack, but some people are paper junkies with 10 feet of paper, and they would need 10 scrap racks to get it all in there. But I'll tell you something, ladies, the more stuff you put in your scrapbook, if you had 100 sheets of Christmas paper and you put 30 sheets in your scrap rack, I guarantee you'll use those 30 sheets first, because if you can see it and you can get to it and it's easy and it's fast and it's fun, then you're going to use it instead of getting up and going digging somewhere else. So even if you have 500 sheets of Christmas paper, put 30 sheets in your scrap rack, and then you'll use them, and then you go back to your Christmas box and load 30 more in, or whatever. But I guarantee you the stuff that you put at your fingertips is the stuff that you're going to use. Terry says, my computer came unplugged, so don't know if you got to my answer. Will you be going over how to take your things to crops instead of taking, yes. Our very last session is going to crops or classes. But as we go through this session, you'll see how it comes together, and it'll make sense to you long before that 8th webinar about how to get to a proper class. It just really gets so simple once you have things in the 4-section system. Missy has left. She is past her bedtime. Some of you I know it's very late where we're talking here, but you can rewatch the recorded version. So I have a big shot and a lot of dies to go with it. How would you store them? We're going to talk about that in the die cut cutting system stamps and punches video. Thank you for discussing the 12 by 12. Brenda says, could you put a page with samples of paper in that page pocket? Yes, you could. Absolutely. Mary says, when is your next visit to California? Northern preferably. We don't have any shows in Northern California this year, I'm sorry to say. Pam says hi. Pam Aragoni, hi. I'm glad to see your name pop up, Pam. Is your system sold outside the USA? We are working on international vendors right now. We do ship from the website outside the USA, so we will ship it to you wherever you are. But we are working. For those of you who might be on board in Canada, there's a new company up there, scraprack.ca. And that's just it, not the Scrap Rack, like our website is the Scrap Rack. Their website, they're just a Scrap Rack retailer in Canada, scraprack.ca. They're not live yet, but you can go onto their website and sign up to get their emails so you'll know when they go live. Amy Sampson says, I can't believe I forgot about the webinar. I'm here a little late, but still here. Good to see you, Amy. Amy, I hope you got my message about helping in Columbus. So check your messages on Facebook if you want to help us in Columbus. Pam says, this is my second time around learning things that I obviously missed the first time through. Pam from Illinois. Lynn says, will regular protectors work to store paper until I can get a scrap rack? Absolutely. Anything that's got a standard 3-hole punch is going to work. Linda says, do I need to register again on the website, or is my registration for this webinar enough? Your registration for this webinar is enough. How long does each class last? It just depends on how many questions we have. This one's run about 1 hour and 45 minutes right now. Most of them run right about an hour. 3 of my friends and I are already signed up for your class in Manchester, New Hampshire next month. I can't wait to see it all in person. Thank you for your time. You're so welcome, Diana. I can't wait to see you in Manchester. Cataloging. What are your suggestions on this? We're going to talk about cataloging in depth, especially when we get into stamps and punches, so we'll cover that later. Janet says, I have paper with a different pattern on each side. How would you suggest? We'll talk about it at the paper webinar. I'm sorry, I'm just running out of time here. I know I've kept many of you much longer than we thought we would be on board tonight. Sarah says, I think it's working. While listening to Q&A, I've been taking photos out of nasty sticky page albums, multitasking. Good job, Sarah. Kathy says, is it better to limit the categories and make more subcategories, or make more categories for your themes? It's generally better to have bigger, broader categories with things that cross over than it is to have like micromanaged categories. Because remember, you want to be able to use, like sports is a good example, you know, things that are going to, you don't want to have football and soccer and basketball and baseball all separated out. If you have them in a big category, then you're going to use all the things that work together. Christina says, almost 10:30 in Cleveland. How am I going to sleep tonight? And all I want to do is get started organizing. I'm not going to be in good shape for work tomorrow. Sorry about that, Christina. What angle does the scrap rack sit at? The scrap rack sits at a 45-degree angle. No, 90. Well, it slants down, so I think it is a 45-degree angle. I'll have to check it out. I should know that. I've had it for 10 years. I think I would have figured that out by now. How would you categorize journaling blocks and frames? They would go in my alphanumeric section. Everything that relates to text, titles, and journaling goes in that alphanumeric section. So if it's a journaling template, if it's a journaling stamp, if it's a title, like Titletopia kind of thing, it all goes in that first section, section, alphanumeric. Janet says, thank you so much for today's webinar. I look forward to next Monday. I have to leave because it's past your bedtime too, probably. It's getting late everywhere, I know. Patty says, my husband just came in the room, saw the title, How to Shop, and told me he thinks I could have tested out of this class. So your husband has an excellent sense of humor. Lynn says, how would you separate a system, one for personal and one for business? I'm wondering, I just need more information, Lynn. I'm wondering if you're like a Close to My Heart rep or Stampin' Up rep or something like that. So if you give me a little more information or email me with kind of more details, I'm happy to address that for you. Mary says, how do you organize memorabilia you get and can't scrap immediately? Do you use a separate scrap rack? I use what's called a holding album, and we are going to talk about that. Memorabilia journaling notes is another, as a whole nother session, so we'll get there. I'm sorry to keep saying that, ladies, but if I really answered all your questions, I would keep you for the full 8 hours. I mean, I love to talk about it, but I know all of you have to get to bed as well. Sarah says, I have that sound as well. Sounds like an old tin-fed paper printer spooling as it prints. I don't know what that is. There's nothing going on here. I'll have to listen to the playback and see if it comes up in the playback. Hopefully it won't. How about bling? I have hundreds of them. Sort by colors? Absolutely. You got that right on the first try. Barbara, put it in colors. Shelley says, Tiffany, we are having some issues adding some to the Facebook page. Could you please ask members to check their privacy settings to allow others for our group? If Nichelle Inman is on here, we are having a hard time getting her on. You could let her know to accept friend requests from me so that I can get them on here, or they can friend request me. Thank you, Shelley Van Wormer. Yeah, some people, it's hard for us to join you into the group, and it's because of your privacy settings. We don't deny anybody for the group, so if you haven't been in because you need to adjust your privacy settings or answer a friend request, that'll either come from myself or from Shelley Van Wormer. She helps administer the Facebook group. So if you see a friend request from Shelley or from myself, if you accept the friend request, we'll be able to get you into the group. Did you say there's a Facebook group to join? Thanks, Heather in Arkansas. Yes, it's the 2011 Get Organized Challenge group. It'll be on the email that comes out, the follow-up email that comes out tomorrow. Nancy says, this is my second time around. I'm so inspired by you. Thank you. I have already ordered scrapbook supplies twice and may need some more soon. Will there be a coupon this time around? There will be something, Nancy. I'm not sure exactly. I'm going to put my head together with Tracy tomorrow and figure out, not Tracy, sorry, with Karen tomorrow, and we'll figure out exactly what we're going to do for the group. Amy says, I did get your message on Facebook and email, and I responded to them both. I'm looking forward to finally meeting you this weekend in Columbus. Great. I'm glad that you're going to be on board. Tracy says, hello from San Diego. I'm from Coronado. Tracy, welcome to the group. I hope it's warm and sunny there. I'm cataloging my stamps right now. Thanks, as always, for sharing your time and knowledge. You're so welcome. It's the joy of my job. Linda says, thanks for a great first session, but I really have to go to bed now. It's 4 a.m. here. Okay, we can understand that, Linda. Go to sleep, and you can catch anything you missed on the recorded version. Thanks so much for staying up to join us. Lynn says, I'm a Close to My Heart consultant. So, yes, you would want to keep things separate, but in the same category. So if you, I guess I don't really want to talk about that for everybody, but yes, just have two separate things, but in the same category, so you can go back and find them easily. Kathy says, how long are the classes supposed to be? They're only supposed to be about an hour, but we have a lot of questions today, but that's the very last one. So with that, I'm just going to say thank you so much for all of you for jumping in and joining us in the first webinar. Next week, we will get really busy in the process of sorting, storing, and organizing real paper and talking about all the details of sorting paper. Thank you all, and please feel free to use the email or go through our website to email us if you have questions, or join the Facebook group. There's a lot of great gals on there that can help you. So I'm going to log off with that. Everybody have a good night's sleep and get up and get busy getting organized tomorrow. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll talk to you next week.